welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into something that sounds pretty techy, but it's actually super fundamental to how a lot of the internet works. Amazon S3.
Exactly. It's cloud storage, but it really marked a huge shift.
Yeah, we're going to sort of shortcut you to understanding what it is, the core ideas, and why it was such a big deal. Because before S3, well, handling lots of data was tough.
Oh, it was incredibly complex
Eh.
and risky. Think about managing large amounts of data back then. It was a constant challenge. S3 really tackled that head on.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What is Amazon S3 exactly? Simple storage service, right?
Right. S3 stands for Simple Storage Service. At its heart, it's AWS's cloud-based object storage. Think of it like a virtually infinite digital locker.
A locker for dot files.
Basically, yes. You store objects, which can be files like photos, videos, backups, you name it, inside containers called buckets.
Buckets, okay.
And each bucket needs a globally unique name, like my awesome podcast files 123.
Yeah,
Your objects inside also get a unique key, kind of like a file path.
gotcha. And I hear these crazy numbers thrown around. Durability, availability.
Ah, yes, the famous 11 nines of durability. That's 99.99999999999%.
11 nines. What does that even mean in practice, like for my data?
It means your data is unbelievably safe. Statistically, if you stored, say, 10 million files for 10,000 years, you might expect to lose just one.
Wow, okay, cow.
Well, S3 automatically copies your data across multiple physically separate availability zones, AZs, within a region. These are basically distinct data centers with independent power, cooling, networking.
Ah, okay. So if one whole building has an issue.
Exactly. Your data is still safe and accessible from another AZ. That's where the high availability comes in too, typically 99.99%.
Right, makes sense. So beyond just being super safe, why did S3 become, the standard? Why use it?
Several huge advantages really clicked. First, scalability. It's massive. You can go from storing a few kilobytes to petabytes, exabytes even, without ever managing physical hardware.
That's huge for businesses. No more buying racks of servers.
Totally. It removed that massive upfront cost and the guessing game of how much storage you'd need. Then there's accessibility.
Oh, so?
Your objects can be accessed globally through unique web addresses, URLs, or programmatically via APIs. Makes it easy to integrate with apps or share data.
And it's used for a lot of different things.
Oh, incredibly versatile. Backups and archives are classic uses. Hosting static websites directly from S3, powering huge data lakes for analytics and AI, storing media assets, application data. The list goes on.
Plus, it's cost effective.
Yeah, that's key. It's pay as you go. You only pay for what you actually store and transfer. And they have different storage classes, like cheaper options for data you don't need instantly. Plus, security features like encryption are built right in.
Okay, this is fascinating. Let's talk about before. What problems was S3 actually solving? What was life like dealing with tons of data before 2006 when S3 launched?
Right, the dark ages of storage, you might say. Mostly you relied on on-premises stuff, physical servers stacked in your own data center, maybe network-attached storage, NAS devices.
Local hard drives, basically.
Pretty much. And for long-term archiving, magnetic tapes. Slow, cumbersome, prone to degrading, a real pain to manage and retrieve from.
And the downsides were?
Cost, obviously. Lots of upfront hardware expense, constant manual scaling, adding more disks, more servers, big risk of data loss if hardware failed or, disaster struck, and complexity. Managing all that infrastructure was a full-time job, often for multiple people.
Okay, so S3 arise. How did it directly fix those headaches?
Point by point, really. Scalability,
Yep.
solved. You just upload files, use the web console or a command line tool like AWS S3CP. S3 handles the rest. Doesn't matter if it's gigabytes or terabytes.
And the durability thing we talked about.
Baked in. That automatic replication across multiple AZs meant data loss became incredibly unlikely, addressing that huge risk factor.
Accessibility.
Suddenly global. Every object gets that unique URL like https://s3.us/1.amazonoz.com by the me-bucket-important-file.zip, easy to access from anywhere, integrate into apps.
And cost shifted too, right?
It was big time. From capital expenditure buying hardware to operational expenditure paying for usage. Much more flexible. Plus, those storage classes, like Glacier for really cheap archival, optimize costs further.
What about just managing the data day-to-day?
Much simpler. You organize data logically using buckets and prefixes, which act like folders. You can set up lifecycle policies to automatically move old data to cheaper tiers or delete it. Security became easier too, with things like server-side encryption and fine-grained access control using IAM.
Can you give a quick, real-world example small business, maybe?
Sure. Think of a small company using a local NAS drive for backups. They're constantly worried the drive will fail. They have to manually swap tapes or upgrade disks.
Sounds stressful.
Yeah. They switch to S3. Now they just run a simple sync command, maybe OS S3 sync.
Yeah.
Local backups, S3 dot their backup bucket. Instantly, their backups are highly durable, stored offsite, accessible from anywhere. No more hardware maintenance, no more capacity planning headaches. It's transformative.
It really sounds like it. So this deep dive, hopefully, has given you a quick grasp of how S3 just fundamentally altered the game for data storage. It made handling vast amounts of data scalable, super reliable, and accessible without that old infrastructure burden.
Absolutely. It's one of those foundational pieces of the cloud that so much else is built on.
A true building block.
And here's something to think about. Consider all the unstructured data you touch every day. Photos on your phone, streaming movies, the data fueling AI.
Right. It's everywhere.
Solutions like S3 are the invisible backbone making that possible, making it accessible and keeping it safe. So maybe consider what kinds of problems, big or small, are being solved for you right now simply because we can store and retrieve information so seamlessly. Something to mull over.